everybody tuning in that 200 is just a small tip of the iceberg. When we get paid by Twitch this month, we're going to be putting our share of the prize money in there. That's going to be like 1,600 or so, already almost at the cap of what we want to see. But I hope to push on beyond. I would love for this prize pool to be well above 2,000, but 2,000 is going to be the bare minimum, almost guaranteed. That's why these guys are playing a lot of awesome best of fives for our entertainment and enjoyment. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you very much, Remit, for the prime sub, and thank you, Zalmanix. Hey, BaseTradeTV, I have a message for Rifkin's mom. Kick cancer's ass. Thank you for the 1,000 bits, dude. But all right, let's get into it. It's BTSL, baby. This was supposed to be the first match of the day. We had a bit of scheduling confusion, but it's all good. We're underway now. To the top left, it is an absolutely excellent Terran player, none other than GuMiho.
Show us the way, GuMiho. In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, he is Splice Stats.
Equally excellent player, but for Protoss. Also, Stats gets some love for having the war chest. Got those new probe skins. Hey.
Yeah, they look pretty sleek. I don't mind those.
I really hope it's the he's got the adept skins though. I think those look so good. Those are unmatched.
Dumb. The explosion is so unnecessarily large.
I don't mind it, man. But all right, Stats and GuMiho. I think a lot of favoritism goes towards Stats for a lot of very different reasons. But right now, in the current state of the game, with the patch being where it is, we're still seeing Terrans struggle.
Yeah. Might change in about 5 days. Maybe.
5 or so, yeah.
Yeah, there is a new, for those who don't know, there is a patch coming out for addressing this issue, but it was the Chrono Boost that was changed, and, well, basically, was the Stalker changed? I'm actually forgetting here.
Yeah, Stalker overall DPS is still the same, but it's slightly shorter cooldown with slightly less damage.
Yeah, so they already made it different and better in the last patch, the first patch that kind of ruined the matchup, and then they are doing it again. They also did take the upgrade thing in mind, where they are no longer upgraded against armored. They're only upgraded double against everything else, I guess.
Are you sure? I thought it was the other way around. I'm pretty sure it's the other way around.
It might be the other way around, actually. But the point is, it's not here yet. So GuMiho has to continue trying to adapt here. He's been showing us a couple of cool things, like Hellion run-bys dealing enough damage to really cripple the Protoss, but has still had as much trouble as any other Terran.
Well, so what's going to be interesting about this is Stats is not a player like Hero or like Classic, who got a lot of his wins through cheese and, frankly, deplorable methods, right? Actually, the Hellions will be able to chase on the stock and get a kill. That'll be nice. But Stats wins out through a lot of macro game and doing harass tactics, and that wasn't patch dependent, you know? That was just like good ways to play Protoss, and oh, the Hellion save was so sick out of GuMiho.
Yeah, it was. I can't believe he's taking on 2 Stalkers with just 2 Marines and 2 Hellions. I think, first of all, targeting the Hellion, it makes sense, because then they can't chase you, but the Marine probably should have died by now. Instead it goes home, and the Stalker dies. The other Stalker could be run past, and then leave Stats in a very awkward position, but that's not what GuMiho's going to do.
So if this was like 4 Stalkers versus 4 Hellions, the 4 Stalkers win without a doubt, but the fact that they're coming in like one at a time. GuMiho's also got plus Vs to repair these Hellions, which is definitely necessary for what he wants to do. It looks like he wants to go for a drop. Or not? Maybe elevate a couple Marines and then follow up with the Hellions, elevated after? They're fast enough they can just walk there on their own.
Perhaps just distraction. Either way, he's going to get a couple of probes, but if the Marines strike for the Hellions, he's going to get a lot of probes.
I mean, this might just look like a bigger drop than it really is, but the Stalkers are at the front of the base, so GuMiho's got to pull back, but the jig is up. Now, the thing is, you also can't ignore these 3 Marines, though, because, well, it's not a big drop, it's enough to kill probes, so something has to be sent back here to the main. It looks like it's going to be the Immortal.
Okay.
Oh,
I mean, it's only 3
Oh,
Marines.
he's trapped in his own base!
He's trapped.
Well, the probes couldn't run away.
Oh, okay. Well, these probes are not running away at all. That was a lot of Hellions, so they get quite a few shots. The Marines taking out a couple of the weaker probes. While the medevac dies, 15 probes I think was worth it. 16.
Terran still loses the game. No, I'm just kidding. But like 16 probes was an absolutely good amount of damage. You could wreck this. This is better than Widowmines did in the past. This was done excellently by GuMiho. But here's the question, and this is without Terran bias or widening balance. Like, was that actually enough? I want to say it is. 16 probes is so much freaking damage.
It is.
But it didn't hit at a time where it was like going to screw Stats' timing for Blink. Stats has all these gateways. He's going to be heading across the map here shortly. And he's got an Immortal with this. I want to believe that GuMiho can hold this attack, but his army supply is already much lower than Stats. So despite killing all those probes, he still might be in trouble.
We've seen this before from GuMiho, from TY, from all the other Terrans that, you know, they figured out they can do a lot of early game damage. That's great. You know, maybe GuMiho showed them the way for that one.
Oh, that SCV.
But actually, holding against the counter after dedicating so much to harassment units has proven difficult. GuMiho with 2 tanks seems like he has a solid setup, but he still has to be very careful. The Stalkers, even without the Immortal, can take those out.
Oh, Stats was really careless with those Stalkers just now. He just ate so much damage. Well, he does kill the tank. Well, Warpins might be good enough. I don't know. That tank's unsieged. SCVs are getting pulled. This is getting a little bit tight for Stats. He's got to kill a lot of workers here, and he might just get those kills. But the Marines focus the Warp Prism with the Immortal inside of it.
Okay, that's pretty important. The Marines, I mean, you might be able to trade out, of course, with Blink, but they are going to do a lot of damage. Nice
catches the Stalkers.
Up against the Marine range. Very nicely done. 8 SCVs, 9 SCVs die, but Stats can tap out. GG.
All right, folks, we're getting into game. It's map number 2. Best of 5. Remember, the winner of this goes on to fight against TY. The loser falls to fight against Solar. And we will be doing the losers match first in terms of order of operations. So, yeah, it'll be the Solar series that comes second. That being said, spawning here in the top left, playing for Splice, it's going to be the red Protoss Stats.
In the bottom right is the blue Terran. He is GuMiho.
There's actually a pretty good chance. Well, first off, it's guaranteed one Splice player gets out of the group. But there's not a bad chance at 2 either. Stats maybe gets this together, knocks out GuMiho. GuMiho ends up either rematching Stats or plays TY in the finals. Like, GuMiho is as weird as it is to say, might be the one who's like on the odds to be out of the group. Despite being up 1 in the series, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here. But I'm just realizing, like, if things go kind of as you would expect, it would be very surprising to see GuMiho not make it through.
I don't.
But this all depends
I feel
on
like
Stats
GuMiho
cleaning up here.
Well, sure. This group actually is kind of hard to call. GuMiho still having, like, despite a GSL victory and then, you know, innovator of mech and all these things, still doesn't have quite the same presence, I suppose, as these other names do. I mean, Stats with his insane win record in the entire year, TY just like a fan favorite with all his cool moves, and then Solar, who is also as solid, but also doesn't have a lot of weight, I would say. Like, yeah, I would have given TY and Stats the victories here, just because TY has been adapting pretty well to the new patch and obviously good player overall, whereas yeah, Solar and GuMiho, I don't know. I don't know why I don't give them enough credit. So I actually, GuMiho not getting out wouldn't surprise me, but if he did get out, that wouldn't surprise me either. So I'm just open. I'm all for everyone. There we go. Yeah, I have no commitments to anyone. Anyone could get out and I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, okay, so for me, I look at this too, and this group is probably, as you said, it's tough to call, and it's because it's one of the best groups of the tournament, in my opinion. You've got like 4 equally great players. It's not just like, oh, one guy's a little bit better than the other, so it's very obvious who gets out of this group. No, they're all contenders for that spot for sure. But for those who don't know, real quick, just while we're waiting on the openings to kick in, this is a tournament where we've invited 16 players who've been playing in our tournaments throughout the course of the year since last December. Determined based on points, invites, and scheduling, determine the groups. So the fact that these guys ended up in this group, this was all a happy accident because we had a lot of swaps we had to make for each of these particular players to accommodate their schedules.
It's a happy little accident. We do have Hellions once again. This time GuMiho also getting a bunker. You know, not to deal with any early stalker shenanigans, because last time I dealt with it fine. It was like a lot of extra micro. Bunker makes it nice and safe. But, you know, you said you didn't think that would happen again, that early game damage. I said that I think it could. Protoss is still, after a year or plus of Hellions being an often enough occurrence, still kind of just like lose everything just to Hellions. Like, I don't know how to deal with them. And their overconfidence is their weakness with the newest patch too. So I think these Hellions will get something done.
Yeah, I guess maybe waiting for that medevac. At the very least, Stats has a pylon here. There's not a lot of dead space in the base. He might be able to sneak in here to the top right, but that'd be about it. But he's not going there. Looks like he does want to just run in. Same tactics as before. Drop the Marines in the main. Look one way, look the other. This time, at the very least, Stats hasn't completely blocked himself out, so he can run away from the Marines if it becomes a problem. But this is a lot more Hellions than last time, too.
Yeah. The Stalker just simply won't have enough damage. As good as it is now, it's still not enough. A shield battery would, I think, balance it out, but yeah, Stat's not going for it.
Ooh, I love this. Gets on top of that real quick. Scatters the probes in the natural. This is going to be really tough to pick up kills. GuMiho may just end up going to the main, but no matter where he goes, there's Stalkers waiting, and you know, there's a lot to talk about here in a moment. I just want to see how much damage he gets here first. 11 probes, not too bad. 14, even better. 15, almost hitting that 16 score from last game. So I was wrong. I really wasn't sure he did this, because one of the key differences of this game to last game that I was going to address just as the attack began, Stats didn't lose 3 or 4 Stalkers early on to these awkward Hellion scuffles, right? Like, he actually had every unit available to him. Now, GuMiho has a really tough job defending, because unlike last game as well, there's no tank already out. In fact, I think he had 2 tanks out by the time Stats was countering last time.
Yeah, that's exactly what he had. If he pre-pulls SCVs in the bunker, it'll be fine. He'll lose SCVs for sure, but it will be fine. But if he doesn't, I think the bunker goes down. And this is maybe game. You know, caught real early, but that's kind of what happens with Blink Stalkers. Yeah, I think he just took out, he already took out the tank. I didn't even see it. It was instant.
Liberator falls too. The mules aren't mining. This is really bad. GG.
Nailed it.
More awkward than the previous best of 5, but things are tied up 1-1, so it's already a much closer series. Spawning here to the top right, we got the red Terran player, Psystorm Gaming's GuMiho.
In the bottom left is the blue Protoss. It is Splice Stats.
Alright, so real quick guys, one more time for the shout outs here for the sponsors of said tournament, because we wouldn't have this happen without them. Big love's got to go to Twitch first and foremost. First off, hello everybody on the front page. Thank you for discovering our channel for the first time. Hopefully you're liking it, and if you are, you'll come join us in chat, give us a follow, all that great stuff. But Twitch is the main driving force, powered by Twitch. Doesn't even do it justice to describe how much they make this tournament possible. But Maturino then comes in and soups up the prize pool, always upgrading it every single week, every time we work with them. Coupon codes here, coupon codes there. We actually have a special set of coupon codes made for just this tournament that are worth $2 we'll be handing out in the finals. So we've already used up most of the freebies, and that's awesome. We got even specialer codes coming later down the line. But big thank you to both Twitch and Maturino for making this tournament as great as it is, because BTSL has probably been our most successful tournament over the years, without a doubt. Some of the highest viewership obtained in this tournament.
People love Korean StarCraft.
People do love Korean StarCraft.
Well, not sure GuMiho's liking Korean TvP. I gotta imagine, like, every time there's been a TvP, the players have talked to each other. I mean, there's always a casual conversation here and there, but it's like, I've noticed just there's always like the lines of Korean from the Terran players, and the Protoss says something and then like laughs.
Yeah.
So like, I can't read exactly what they're saying. I can only read like a tiny little bit of Korean, but I really, really believe that it's like, what am I even supposed to do? Stalkers are good. Well, you just came back from 15 probe. Like, it's something like that. I think they're all in agreement that it needs to be changed.
It always surprises me too, because like a lot of these guys are very chatty. Like, you would be surprised, but Innovation's probably one of the biggest typers in the game, right? But it's always after a loss you really see the lines of text come. But oh, this is interesting. So it's not going to be a starport, and it's not going to be elevating a bunch of Hellions in. It's a very fast second barracks. So I'm starting to wonder if he's going to be putting faster concussor shells out. We have seen Terran players going for those builds.
That's true. Something middle of the road here. Faster on the medevacs than the 3 racks, but less production. So a straight up just mid-game push, you know, whether it's really fast Marauder blow or, you know, maybe just a stim to combat shields, the regular stuff. And this is something that Stats will eventually find out. You know, right now he's a little in the dark. He doesn't want to send his Stalker out because there's been Hellion pushes, and, you know, GuMiho can certainly open up with Cyclones. He actually has a mech build or two. So Stats kind of playing it safe here, but eventually he'll get Observers, and then they'll have full coverage of the map. There they are.
Actually, a real big fan of people who've been using Observers well. It's a big part of why I've been fawning over Zest. But as the Observers come out, we'll start seeing things get caught. Not just yet, though. GuMiho's not even moving out, so it's not a big deal. He's just going to look to take the watchtower down here. Just totally fine.
Well, you know, if there is an early War Prism, that might be able to see it. So why not grab it, I suppose. But Stats is, as I said, going to find out soon what build this is. It looks to be maybe even a tank push. He's building tank. Tanks are so good defensively that, you know, you build them and then eventually they become a push whether you are hitting a timing or not. But certainly GuMiho has a lot of timings too. And Stats is going to be going for what has become the just go-to build. Twilight Council, Robo, and then Double Forge.
Yeah, this map's got a couple of funky spots too. Like if you do actually siege up here, you can reach the gas geysers without overcommitting. A little bit similar to what we've seen on some other maps. So I would love to see GuMiho try and take advantage of some of that with those tanks. If he just goes for the frontal push, I feel like he's gonna have a much harder time taking a fight, especially because that's where the shield batteries and such are gonna be set up.
I think Stats is very paranoid of alien run bys. There's no other reason a wall like this is a Protoss player. It actually is concerning. The tank push to the direct front of the base, which Stats knows is on the way. The first observer saw it, and the second observer is going to confirm that. Like, it's still concerning. His natural has a couple of important buildings and is really like choked in there.
Well, gonna pick off quite a few stalkers that are stuck out here, but high ground vision does favor Stats. That's why he's got a scan like that. But he's gonna find the Immortal exposed on its own. Granted, it's by a shield battery, but the pressure point here is the Twilight Council. You could actually possibly stall out either +1 weapons, maybe kill the Blink. In fact, he kills the research on Blink at the very least. Tank's gonna go down the backside, but no Blink for these stalkers is a lot more manageable for GuMiho.
Yeah, and the stalkers are dying instead of just surviving forever as Blink was stalled out. Held 75% done. Forge was not, but shield battery is taken out, so a bit more damage went on a couple of the units in the main, natural rather, and then these units in the back all were killed. So a much more successful trade than some other tank pushes we've seen.
The bloody observer sound, I swear to God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, well the counterattack actually is going to be kind of weak here for Stats. He lost so many stalkers on the defense. The Immortals can't just walk up and bust like they normally would. In fact, the Observer is going to see just how many Marines are out and realize this is not a good idea.
No, and Stats agrees. He is going to pull back just too many Marines, and they're going to have Stim soon too. That was a push that was long before Stim, but it not enough time for it.
I'm now realizing as well, Stats lost the Stalker fight to Stimless Marines. That shouldn't have happened.
He took so much damage from the two tanks. You know, he with only 5, I think, Stalkers, I don't think he one-shot the tanks, and they do take a long time to reload their shot. I mean, that was supposed to be the counter, you know, buff, like the nerf to the buff of the damage, but it didn't quite work out that way. But anyways.
Counters in StarCraft?
anyways, so the tanks did get a couple extra shots than they would have maybe if there was one more stalker, basically, or 2 more stalkers. And that does put the opener, you know, the first 6 minutes of the game a little awkward for Stats. But, you know, I was talking about this in chat, and I just, like, sorry, I gotta reiterate, like, we've seen Protoss take 17 probe losses. We've seen them lose army fights and still recover in a really nice way. Corona Boost is still very strong, and Double Forge is still, like, usually a given. Although in this game, Stats thought he had to cancel it. So he's only working off of the 1 initially.
As we catch these stalkers, Blink on cooldown, so nice stamina out of the Marines. Ah, these observers are still being such a pesky problem. I'm sure he sees them too, but he just doesn't want to waste the scan on it. Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be enough. Guardian Shield's going to help reduce a lot of damage from the Terran, but this is still a lot of Terran to have to reduce damage for.
Absolutely true. If there are charge outs already, I think this is, you know, actually maybe even an easy fight. But yeah, with only the Stalkers, he's definitely going to trade. And it might not go so well. A scan goes ahead and sees that the army is entirely there. So instead of trying to take the fight, he goes to the main.
Oh, so lose 3 medevacs on the way in, though.
Well, it's enough to stop him from doing. You know, there might have been a bit available. There might have been more stalkers, so doesn't go for it. But is losing out on that mid-game pressure. He's losing out on the timing. You know, before the upgrades are done, before charge was done, he's lost that.
It's like a fake out into the fake out, but
no.
Stats.
No. Woo!
He's way too late to the draw. He does pick up one of the medevacs, but a lot of the bio unloads. This is going to force the probe pull. Even if the stalkers clean this up, this is going to cost Stats a lot.
Okay.
Oh, no concussor shells? No, he doesn't have them.
I really want to just say that GuMiho got a little bit lucky there. Stats is responding, so losing 12 probes, perhaps more as another attack on the third base.
Oh god, the Immortals and Zealots aren't even responding.
Please.
Oh my god, the entire probe line is cleared out before it's even dealt with. And GuMiho gets out of the main. He goes over to the natural.
Oh no, there's no shield batteries anywhere. Well, I guess you can pull to this one, but a lot of damage going down, trying to avoid stalkers.
This is really necessary damage for GuMiho too. It's not just that he lucked out a little bit and got more damage than he should have. He's so far behind in upgrades, and Stats is chronoing these things out, right? Like, he's going to be on 2-2 while GuMiho's on 1-1. Good luck taking fights against charge lots.
Yeah. So now he's forced Stats to chrono Nexus instead of upgrades, so there will be a bit of a comeback potential there. It is still a chrono on something, and very effectively putting Stats back into this game. Not quite yet. I think he'd been using his chrono religiously as he had on the forges, so it's not like he's already up 50 probes, but it is being recovered. And if he can get to Storm, especially, then he'll have a solid army that can defend at a disadvantage.
Oh boy. He's out of position with these stalkers, and he's so focused on looking to harass the SCVs. He might kill some SCVs, but if he loses the base in the process, not going to be worth it. Got those Widowmines bro. They're going to hit those Zealots.
Woo!
Oh, that takes out the entire front line. With those gone, it's only a couple of sentries and a couple of Immortals. Not a difficult fight for GuMiho to take. Also drops in the main, but this is actually dealt with, shredded immediately.
Huh. You know, I agree. I thought that was a fight that GuMiho was still going to take despite the force fields available, but he does withdraw, allows Stats to warp in a couple more charge lots, and he has successfully deflected what was most of GuMiho's army while dealing a lot of damage to GuMiho's economy as well.
Yeah, taking down the 12 workers is starting to even this out, so Stats no longer feeling as bad about that early damage, but that's where his upgrades start really shining through, because GuMiho's still only halfway, he's 2-2. No way to speed that up as a Terran, you're just going to have to fight at a disadvantage for the next 30 seconds to a minute.
Another Observer is sniped. The Widowmines are going to guarantee get hits anyways, but this is more for the future. You know, a lot of the reason GuMiho's been getting away with these drops and these, just the counters and pressure is that he's been killing Observers. Stats back down to like 1 or 2, I believe, but now pressuring GuMiho. GuMiho's not doing any drops anymore. He's totally entirely focused on defending. Almost has 2-2.
The concussive shells are taking forever to chew through that one Zealot. Oh my god.
Yeah. Alright, Stats is not going to push into this. I mean, without a Warp Prism... Oh, there's a Warp Prism. But it's coming on over now, yeah. So waiting for the Warp Prism.
Too.
Yeah. Hasn't started Storm. You know, if he does misjudge the fight and loses his army, that could be pretty bad.
Timing here. 10 seconds out from having his 2-2. Stats missing an opportunity to get some serious damage done, but now GuMiho's going to be fighting on much more even footing. And while honestly for Terran, the armor is not usually that big of a deal, the weapons always is.
Stats could just chrono out this last +3 shield or armor and go for it. Especially if he's clicking on the bio to see that they are in fact tied up again. Looks to be the case.
GuMiho has segmented some army. This might be a problem. Well, the potential of a run by is really cool. He needs everything at home to defend this massive push coming out of Stats. But he's not coming back home. He's going to go for it. He's going to rush in, assuming there's no defense on the base, and he'll be right about that. Can he hold on at home? This is the big question we got to ask right now. Stats is a bit of a disadvantage. Stuck between this on the low ground. Going to have a hard time taking a fight without those observers to see the army of the high ground. Liberator's getting some really good shots in here, too. And GuMiho does snipe the base.
Wow, but the probes were pulled. He instantly knew that was going to be gone. He didn't try and warp Zealots. He did take out the Liberators. Now it's like bio army left over, and the Warp Prism still lives.
Oh, you know what? Zealots on the wrong side of the wall. They're going to boost over to the main. Big drops can hit that. Natural base getting compromised for GuMiho, but the SCVs are pulled. He's pulling the boys for the defense, and if he can pull this off, this will be excellent, but so many of these Immortals are barely getting away. The Warp Prism micro out of Stats is so awesome, but it's not going to be good enough.
Nah, he actually blinks on top of the army. A very bold move. Maybe he should have just recalled. That's it.
Oh.
No.
Welcome back. I'm just setting up the scores here as we get into game number 4. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here for the BTSL. Still in the preliminary matches, 2 hours into the group. Spawning here in the bottom right. He's going to be the red Protoss. Splices Stats.
It's up left. Is the blue Terran. He is GuMiho.
It is not at all irregular, by the way, for a best of 5 to go on this long. For both of these series, it's just awesome but surprising at the same time. Again, comparing to yesterday's games that were just so swift.
Yeah, very quick. I'm pretty excited if this does mean for a TvT finals, or winners, sorry. As, first of all, guaranteed Terran out of the group. Yay!
Yes!
And then second of all, I think that while some of the Cyclone games have been disappointing, you know, like, oh, okay, who has more Cyclones? TY and GuMiho, those names alone should be enough for a good TvT.
I'm trying to recall who actually got out of the first group. I think it was both Protoss, right? Hero and Zest. No, Impact and Hero.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sick. This means, by the way, like, if one Terran gets out of the group here, that's actually perfect race balance. 1-1-1.
No, so far. Yeah. Well, that the GuMiho's been doing well. It doesn't mean you win this. One more game against Stats should still be difficult to accomplish. But going back to my point before the map intro, like Stats, GuMiho's been killing a lot of observers. I kind of wish I had seen how many observers he killed last game, maybe 3. But Stats wasn't remaking them. He made enough immortals. I don't think he lost them. He just wasn't remaking the observers that often. Or when he was like literally following the army, made it easy for GuMiho to see. And he got surprised 3 or 4 times, and even had a slow reaction on one, which sounds very critical of me, but this is stuff that Stats is usually known for. Fast defensive reactions and good just defensive setup with the detection and observers and stuff like that. So the fact that GuMiho is actually getting into Stats' head so much or something, that Stats isn't like this perfect all-knowing toss, it's good for GuMiho and it's good for Terrans.
GuMiho, by the way, scouting for proxies back at home with the Reaper instead of going across the map. I think this is a very smart move because, well, against Protoss, you're worried about proxies. But as I started with the series, like, Stats really isn't that guy. He will pull out a proxy once in a while. Don't get me wrong. He's got his cheeses in his back pocket, right? But typically speaking, Stats is not the guy to do those proxies. You're watching Hero, that's the guy to do those proxies. You're watching Zest, that's the guy to do those proxies.
Yeah. Zest even, I think, Zest has the ultimate confidence in this new patch.
Wait, did
and
he?
I think it'll continue on, what?
Did he just level up? Because he didn't have this Purifier Stalker skin earlier.
Oh, he might have. The war chest unlocked, he immediately added it on. Sure.
That's what I think happened, man.
Yeah, I was like, level up, what the hell are you talking about? Anyways, I was talking about Zest. I think Zest is still the epitome of what Protoss players should be looking to do, how to play. So that's weird because Stats was the epitome of Protoss just a couple months ago. Regular opener here, Blink Stalker into Robo, so double Forge coming down too. It's like a minute here. Yeah, good scout.
The only reason I'm pretty confident to say he wasn't using the Stalker skins before is because I didn't hear any complaints out of you about the baby carriage at the back or the B-do in the front.
I mean, I wasn't gonna complain this game either.
No, but yeah, the Purifier skins are pretty cool. I still think my favorite one out of the first round, like the Adept's cool, the Zealot's awesome, but it's gotta be the Archon that takes it from me, man. The Archons look actually godly. It's so sick.
Do they have toes?
In Brood War, they do.
Yeah. And a waste, and a really weird waste. So double Forge. So again, to reiterate that last game, it wasn't the drop did damage, the run by did damage, but then in the very, very beginning, there was that tank push that did damage. Not just literal trade, but Stats felt so uncomfortable going up against it that he canceled a second Forge. Protoss should be getting, at this point in time, faster 3-3 than like Terrans are getting 1-2 or something. Like, it's insane. So this is a better start for him because there isn't a tank push on the way. This is like the first tank being built.
Liberator's not going to get anything done, not with the Stalkers waiting. Sorry guys, I know there's a push over here, but I was really waiting to see if Stats was pulled out of position, but the Liberator is immediately removed. Oh, there's no way that's getting back in there anytime soon. The bunker, though, will hold. Cyclone on top of this attack on a Stats is not actually that dire for GuMiho. In fact, we see him not even pre-pulling the SCVs. He's not that worried about it.
That's like a little dangerous to do, but yeah, Stats is not going to push in.
You know, part of the confidence with this too is having that Liberator being denied. You know, a good chunk of stock is actually in the main. This is not enough to just jump in and volley down the bunker here.
That's true. The Liberator survived, so.
Oh, snipes off the observer.
Instant snipe.
This is a little bit interesting because you really do against a lot of these like we watch a lot of Terran players here on the channel, guys, versus Protoss, and unfortunately a lot of the times the observers just go unscouted, undetected, and unkilled for so long that it's basically like having map hacks on, for lack of a better phrase.
It is. And there's I still am kind of on board. I never get that, like, we don't ask the Korean pros this, right? But I'm still on board the idea that a lot of Terrans are thinking not correctly. Well, almost. This is kind of like a 50-50 in which direction Stats went through that ramp, by the way. It just ended up working out better for him. Almost perfect. So now Stats is a bit more in control. He knows where to escape to. But anyways, that Terran players weren't killing observers, so they thought they'd just be remade. And that has been a problem with Stats. He's trying to make immortals. He's not remaking observers. He just remade one right now, but going back into immortal production. Keeping tabs on the army. Knows that Stim's done. This is going to be a Stim combat shield +1 push with 2 more tanks than the last time. And
yeah, but
Stats has to have proper positioning.
Stats also has way better units, I feel, this time. Like, the upgrades are still going to be awesome for him. It's Protoss, you chrono them, right? But it's a lot of charge lots. Not a lot of walkward stalkers. Not like a little bit of sentries. Like, this is a lot of charge lots.
Yeah, and charge lots will help, especially against the tanks, but just in general, right, against these Marines. So I think Stats has this under control, unless he has just truly terrible positioning, which happened once or twice. Forcing out Stims, really draining the medevac energy. Actually, oh, he's engaging. He's just coming out here to engage.
Gets down on one knee, pops the question, and the answer might just be no. GuMiho actually holds his ground against the Zealots, and after the Zealots are down, Stim Marines can clean up what's left. The Immortals on the backside aren't dealing bonus damage to anybody here. In fact, the Stalker's starting to blink away, a lot of them on last legs, literally, as they're in the red. GuMiho's stimming for the win, and I think he's crushed this army.
That he has. We'll see if Stats can hold on with another reinforcement line, and maybe he can time for 2-2, but Stats was really overconfident. Those Zealots were easily microed against, especially since, I mean, GuMiho didn't even have all of his tanks siege. It seemed like a bad thing, but they just, their normal DPS ended up being fine.
Oh, they want the Warp Prism.
Chasing on a Warp Prism is important time for Stats, though. I think that would be a 200 mineral loss worth it.
Yeah, because realistically, Stats can't afford to warp in anything across the map unless he loses base here. And if he does warp in things across the map, well, then he loses the base here, and it's still better for GuMiho. Letting the Warp Prism go probably was better, but I can also see, like, it's right there, right? Like, why not grab it if you can? Unfortunately, he could not. Now, tanks are going to have a really great spot to set up here. This got to be careful not to get caught from behind, because there are units coming from behind.
You can focus fire the sentries. At the last second he tries to.
A couple good shots. Sentry's gonna be reducing a lot of damage to that Guardian Shield, so he's targeting units outside of Guardian Shield. Oh, I love what GuMiho's doing. Now gets on top of that Sentry, blinks away, but the Immortals are gone. New Warpins aren't gonna cut it against this army. And while it's 2-2, it's 1-1. It's still just a numbers game here that favors GuMiho. Liberators.
Another Warpin of Zealots is probably gonna do it, however. The Immortal takes out the tank, the Liberators are taken care of with the Stalkers, and the Marines are also being taken care of. The Medivacs are entirely dry now. I
thought those Liberators were going to seal the deal, but he didn't get to set them up. This is a big problem because for GuMiho, he's losing the momentum he had gained early on, and with that upgrade disadvantage, it's harder and harder to fight. And now Stats' Warp Prism that didn't get picked off earlier, coming to full effect. Freshly dropped mules on this base.
Yeah, it feels bad. But more importantly, a potential sandwich of those medevacs. All the ones that are low on energy now are just going to be, they're just going to die. GuMiho maybe overextending and going to lose now.
Yeah. GG. I don't blame him for that overextension, though, because it was really almost enough to kill Stat. First tied series all the way here to the ace match of the day. We still have the winners and losers to go through those. We got a lot of good games ahead of us still, but it's game number 5. To the top left side is your representative from Splice. It's Stats.
In the bottom right, as the blue Terran, he is GuMiho.
All right, GuMiho and Stats are showing us a very interesting, and I'm going to say variety, even though it kind of has a very loose meaning of gameplay. What we are seeing, though, is I think the harsh dynamic that is TvP. Because in one game, like, let's go back through the series, right? Game 1, GuMiho gets 16 SCVs or probe kills, and he's able to snowball off of it and win. Game 2 does the exact same thing, but loses. And the stats of GuMiho trade out through, like, the later game parts of this, and as we can see with that last game specifically, map 4, GuMiho can kill so much, and he can do so much damage, but still die to an overextension by diving too deep. It's not that these games are super imba. I mean, the series has gone 2-2. It's the fact that these games are just over in a flash is what I think makes this matchup look so ridiculous, because win or lose for the Terran or the Protoss, it's just over like that. Whereas TY and Solar, we're watching trade after trade after trade, 45,000 minerals in the hole. They're still both going at it. And that's...
Yeah.
If I have to pick and choose, I like the second way. That plays out a lot better. And I wish TvP was a little bit closer, but we still got these really good games.
I mean, last game was a good game. It just, I feel like that specific engagement, the last 2 or 3 engagements, was specifically what the new patch does. The old patch, stats is dead, like just straight up. The upgrades aren't done. First of all, Chrono Boost wouldn't be what it is now, and then second of all, the Stalkers wouldn't be doing as much damage to help out the charge lots. Because really, Stalkers, you know, before the patch, everyone considered them to kind of hit like wet noodles, only effective against Liberators in higher numbers, that type of stuff. But in the new one, they're effective DPS. So definitely different. And definitely something that GuMiho, you know, probably didn't appropriately take into account. You know, there's a reason he over-dedicated, and one of them may be the new Stalkers having a DPS, but also the upgrade's finished. And it's important that they did. Stats put a lot of Chrono Boost into it. That's what won him that game. I think I'm so effective, guys. Makes it so effective. Which finally, by the way, we got confirmation of what the new patch is. It is so non-armored units are now better against Stalkers. Just look at the upgrade against armored.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought was the case.
There you go.
Thank you, by the way, Ward 2022 for that Prime sub. Welcome aboard the Base Trade fam. I got a good idea for an emote, by the way, but it's one that's only going to be really used once per stream. So you know how we got like the Ace 1, Ace 2 base trade emotes? I want to get one that's Ace 1, Ace 3, but the 3 is like Ace Raid for when we go raid people, and that's the emote combo we can spam.
Ah, well, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you guys think in chat? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Let me know what you think. I'm trying, like, I was not prepared to have 2 emote slots unlocked this month. Like, really not prepared.
I've advanced ordered emotes for if I unlock more.
Oh, so you've got them queued up. Ah, that's actually a smart idea. I've never really thought about that. I always just get them as we have them available.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot there's no emotes. Yeah, you guys can vote. Vote yeah or vote no. Vote yay or vote nay. There you go.
Yeah, no.
Oh my god, Zeph was doing that too. I love Kilaris called her out for it too. It was so good. I was like, I can't stand. Even though I understand it can decipher the yeah, no, or no, yeah, it's still just like, why are you doing it like that? It's like finding somebody who just speaks in double negatives.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Stop.
Stop it.
Stop right now. Thank you very much.
Oh, throwback. Classic. So we have stats. So you brought up that the games, you know, are... You wanted, actually I forgot how you said it, right? That they're different but not really, or something like that. I actually forget how you put it.
Thank you for condensing any amount of analysis I could have put the game into such a...
You're welcome. Well, until we got on the topic of the emote, I suppose, I wanted to mention that Stats has been doing the exact same thing, right? Like, there's the one time you had to cancel Second Forge, but other than that, it's Twilight Council, Robo, and then 4 out of 5 games, two Forges, right? GuMiho is the one actually changing things up, and when being on Neon Violet Square, I was really hoping he would show a mech build. He doesn't, but he is showing a very macro-oriented build in the past third season.
Yeah, this is, I just want to point out the change to this. Raven 2 I actually love a lot. He's been so adamant about these observers, and well, now you don't have to run scans, and you'll see them a little bit more easily as you walk across the map. But on top of all of this, Stats hasn't gone for Templar. Not a lot, at least, and we saw some Archons in one game, barely. But this means this Raven's actually got some potential longevity, because normally you don't even bother. It's just going to get feedback space slammed out of the sky.
Yeah, it is. And that was something weird from the third game that Stats still won, right? But maybe he could have won even easier if he had gotten... Oh, no, he lost. It was the base trade. Yeah. He probably could have done a lot better if he had Storm. So, oh well. Wouldn't mind taking out. The Observer was there. It hadn't popped or anything, but that's about as far as Stats can go. But Stats isn't looking to do a lot of damage. She took a pretty okay third base, along with all these upgrades. And it's the normal third base, too. Not limited on minerals.
So the new Raven anti-armor missile, right?
Yeah.
I had not actually played with it yet. Like, I knew it painted units orange and all this. I didn't realize how big the splash radius on it was, though. I was playing around some 3v3s the other day with some folks on stream, and that thing, I can see a lot of really cool potential. It's like a reverse Guardian Shield, if you can pull it off.
That's one way to put it, yeah. But exactly, it's difficult to pull off. That the energy is one thing to consider, but also just... It's like a secret missile where you have time to split against it.
And just somehow not getting feedback in the process of all of that.
Yeah. So double armory. It looks like GuMiho not opening up with mech, but is going to go into what he's done once or twice before. Not often at all. But into, like, pseudo-mech. You start off with the bio, you add a bunch of factories, double armory upgrades, but still produce Marines and Marauders.
I wonder, though... Okay, let's see if it's ground weapons or air weapons, because there's some possibility that he just puts this towards Liberator production, right? Just soup up the Liberators instead.
Mm-hmm. That would be very souped up Liberators.
Well, it's ground weapons, so it doesn't matter for that. Attack over here is also not going to be so effective, and oh man, medevac damage. Like, I actually don't really mind Stalkers, as ridiculous as they are with their damage values. If medevacs weren't armored, I don't think this would be such a problem. And I wonder if it would have been better to change the type of, like, just change the medevac to light. I don't know. It does affect a lot of other things like TvT too, but man, watching Stalkers pick that off so easily, it's tough to watch.
Which, you know, they are changing Stalkers, so it'll still be tough to watch in 6 days, but a little easier to digest. There are those extra factories and an extra command center. GuMiho really is going to play like kind of turtle Terran here, but not really with it's going to be weird. It's a combination of styles. You're basically saying now Kith.
I really like the blue flame idea for this actually quite a bit. One of the problems we are going to see throughout the series as it goes on is like anything that's armored is going to get shreked and destroyed by combination of mortals and stalkers, right? So if you get some of those hellbats on the front line, they can actually tank the hits, soak the hits, and frankly deal a good chunk of damage back towards things like zealots, especially with blue flame. But to be clear for everybody watching, to go quadruple upgrades is so expensive for GuMiho. This is going to come at the expense of his army type and supply.
Yeah. But that's why having the third base is so important on this map. GuMiho has, I think, a couple of just builds designed for Neon Violet Square because the gas is still the exact same, even if the minerals are not. And you can get to a certain point where you can safely take this fourth as well, then that's fine. And he's gotten there. You know, he's got these decent upgrades. He's got a very defensive setup with all these tanks, and Stats can't push into it. But if GuMiho were to push out, then Stats might be able to. Oh, that's okay. That's pretty cool.
That's just, oh my god, that's actually so sick. So I was wondering if we'd ever see counterplay to this, because we've been seeing some ghosts like time out the EMPs, but it's really hard to get the instant EMP off right when the Templar comes out. But to simply make it so you can't unload, for those who don't know what just happened, I'm sorry, I know a lot of you guys front page and all that, the Raven has an ability called Interference Matrix, and when the unit's glowing black and electric-y like that, it can't use any of its abilities, including the ability to unload the cargo inside the Warp Prism. So those Templar can't come out, they can't storm, they can't cast feedback, you don't have the Templar, they're removed from play for 6 seconds. It's such a sick move.
Yeah. It also would stop reinforcements. You know, you always have those drops and instant transformation into instant Zealot warp in, and that's 20 more supply that Terran's still waiting on. That is really sick, but I don't know if it's really possible to do consistently. Eventually the Stalkers will blink forward at the expense of 2 or 3 just to kill that Raven, and GuMiho's probably not going to want to remake it. Not for some time. Not until he's like at 5 bases with 10 gases will he add like Mass Raven onto it, right? But that was sick. That was cool.
I don't know we'd see Mass Raven, but honestly, with that being a possibility, having 2 or 3 suddenly seems a lot more viable.
Of course, the other thing is that with no ghosts out and seemingly no transfer into ghosts, Stats could just be like, okay, I guess I won't use the Warp Prism, and then like still storm them, right?
Oh,
You're not going to be able to get the Inverse Matrix on every single High Templar.
Stats is thinking much bigger than that zombie group. He's going double Stargates. He's gonna have triple Stargate production with a fleet beacon.
As he should. This is the correct response to late game versus Terran. And not even versus Mech or versus Bio, but like late game versus Terran, it's good.
If this ends up being the case, though, this is going to be the most extreme series we've ever cast, where not only does it go to the ace match, but the ace match itself involves the ultimate endgame Protoss against a Terran player who's doing literally everything, both mech and bio. He's still keeping up on those upgrades, by the way, folks, so he's still coming up on 2-2 for the mech. He's got 3-3 finishing up for the bio, and Blue Flame Hellions are going to do so well against these Zealots.
GuMiho doesn't feel confident pushing out. Even with his upgrades on 2-2 across the board and a decent sized army, he doesn't bring his tanks with him. And he is running out of time. Marines can do okay against carriers, and maybe this will work out better than pure mech or pure bio. You know, the combination of units going up against the combination of air and ground for stats, but I just feel like it won't. That might be inherent bias against carriers. Carriers have been proven pretty good once they get up to a count of 6+. They're very difficult to take on.
Well, I have some comments. Oh my god, I think that'd be interesting, but forget that. Oh my god, the Marauders got to run for their lives. Temple gets so many storms off. He does cast the Interference Matrix on the Warp Prism, but oh my god, that was devastating for GuMiho. Completely caught off guard by that. Sorry, I kind of went into like auctioneer mode. I was like, what's happening?
He's trying to catch stats off guard, and it's not that he's caught off guard, it's that he doesn't... Well, maybe... I actually don't know what stats is thinking.
Oh,
he recalled. That's
okay.
He has plenty of gateways and plenty of warp-ins, so what's going on here? But whatever it was, it didn't work. At least GuMiho scouted the carriers were on the way, but what is his response? He's going to get ghosts to kind of help with the shields, and carriers are pretty shield-heavy, but he doesn't really have dependable anti-air. Those Marines will get stormed if the EMPs miss at all.
Yeah, but so this is where it gets interesting to me, right? When you play mech normally, you don't actually have the anti-air to take on the interceptors, but if you have like a blend of combination Marines, maybe the odd Thor shot, I think the interceptors die really easily. But it goes back to the point you just brought up, right? Where it's like, yeah, do the Marines die or not? If things are gone, then none of that matters. However, tanks are going to do an interesting job of zoning this out. The Templar are very weak. They're not going to be able to take tank hits, and that's a lot of tanks supporting this army, and those tanks have got +2 weapon upgrades. Concussive Shell's going to keep everything slowed down. Storms do come, but oh no, GuMiho's running into them.
Yeah, remember, this is a very small looking army because carriers are on the way still, so you know, yeah, there they come now. 3 more are on the way. They're in a pretty damn good position too. Can
Interference Matrix stop interceptors from launching?
I figured that out like yesterday, and I was like, "No, this is great." And then the Raven died, and then I got sad again.
Well, it's gonna be cool too. Anti-armor missile can really take a lot of off these carriers, and we got a fast attacking units like the Marines. It's gonna be so much better. But no anti-armor missiles being come out. The Ravens not even putting down like repair drones. Nothing. Repair drones on the medevacs wouldn't be too bad actually.
Yeah, maybe saving them for the tanks.
Well, the tank's doing a really good job of zoning out the bottom side of this ramp, and now they're going to be able to leapfrog in here for the cannons. I mean, when there's enough carriers, you can aim move to Marines, but the low count right now, you really can't.
Nah. Stats is still finding himself in a very difficult position, you know. Without dependable storms, he really has to decide, like, Warp Prism, no Warp Prism, Warp Prism, no Warp Prism. He's having trouble. There's just a massive amount of units.
So GuMiho's finish up is 3-3, which is so incredible that this even happened, but I do love that he's going for building armor behind this. Building armor is going to help out a ton against those interceptors, but there's that repair drone, by the way, getting some heals up. Nice to see. A little bit of repairing going on.
His stats is up to 6 carriers now. It's kind of like my magic number anyways, where it seems that carriers become really, really effective. There is the Interference Matrix, but that's the only one.
It only lasts 6 seconds too, so it's not going to help them out too much, but the Marines still push forward. Army in the middle of the map, though, looks like it's going to cut off reinforcements, so we catch the tanks from behind. These medevacs are still soaking in the sick rays of that beam, but they fly over the arm.
What? What did happen? That was so weird, and that was also a perfect time for the carriers to take on the bio. Little time, but the medevacs they've been feedbacked. They're out of juice, so regardless if they died or weren't around before, they aren't now.
I really got to call attention to how well these Marines are picking out the interceptors. They're going to snipe off another base here for stats as he continues his rampage here on the left side of the field. Those tanks are no longer protected by anything, though, and they are just going to get picked off by the carriers.
Yeah. This looks fantastic. GuMiho is killing so many Nexus, but recall stats, he has a bunch of money. He can actually replace quadruple expand.
Until
something like that.
Storm's going to come in and wreck these Marines, though, so the Medivacs boost now. They're realizing they're going to have to cut their losses. GuMiho, though, trades out for so much, and while Stats might be looking at doing a ton of carrier production, he can't do it if he doesn't have the money for it.
Well, he does still. He has 2 bases that are going to go back to mining. He can invest still 3 chrono boosts into reproduction of those probes, and he can expand 3 times and still have a bank. So there is a recovery here as long as he doesn't take an army fight and lose it.
What's really intriguing to me about this, though, is the choice to go Thors and Ghosts behind this. I love this move for a multitude of reasons. Also, these are actually going to kill the Cyber Core, denying +2 air upgrades. But the Thors in single target can actually destroy carriers. I've seen this on Nate's stream a million times. It works. But you throw the EMP in the mix, too. Get rid of those shields. Say goodnight to everything that's going to be targeted by those Thors.
Yeah. This is the ideal combination of units without the clunkiness of like tanks and cyclones on the ground. But it still is a combination of units versus a combination of units. You know, Stats still has a strong army and, you know, a lot of it, right? Like a lot of High Templars, a lot of Stalkers that blanketing every single unit with those ghosts, it's going to be difficult. Actually getting the target fire of the Thors, it's going to be difficult. It's going to come down to positioning and control.
By the way, this is where that building armor is going to help out a ton. It's not going to stop the carriers, and these turrets aren't going to save GuMiho, but this will buy him time to respond instead of everything just melting in an instant. But yeah, building armor is not going to stop this. I said it's just a few extra seconds it buys per building. Gives him time to maybe respond, but he's looking at the middle of the map, and he's not paying attention, so these carriers are going to run straight on production. This is the weakness of every Terran player.
He can't respond. What's he going to do? Try and medevac the Thors over here? That won't work out. He loses his Ghost Academy. This is the last couple of Ghosts coming out, and GuMiho giving up on his production.
Not repairing the planetary. He's going full base trade. Oh, what a perfect way to end the series. Ace 1, Ace 2 it up, boys.
Yeah, I guess so. Mothership is on the way. More care and great. Stats has a recall as well. He can recall the other side of his army and have a good fight.
But what part of the army do you recall, right? Like, EMP's hitting some of the units up here. Ghost's gonna cloak in. Look for the snipes of the Templar. Picks those off.
Oh, no observer. No, Stats can't push into that, but his carriers are still wrecking havoc. Looks like this base might even survive. Yeah, I can take out a group of units. I think he can just recall the carriers and win.
No, he can't recall if the base is dead. It's about to happen.
Okay, can't recall. Never mind.
Okay, so Stats is in a tough spot. He's got no more income. He's on 1 base. But that tough spot isn't so tough when you realize GuMiho has no production.
Yeah, he's about to lose on the planetary. Still no repair. He has 1,000 minerals, he's just not repairing.
Oh, no, not like
this. A couple extra
this.
Stalkers taken out is really important with the base trade.
And even with all these extra turrets coming down, it's not going to stop this. Stats actually still has enough minerals to produce. The army's coming back home. Oh, hello. This looks really pretty, actually.
That's very pretty.
That is very pretty. Oh, my. That being said, the ghosts are down. They didn't get the EMPs off they wanted to. Carrier's going to get on top of the turrets. And GuMiho's last fight's coming, but I don't think he's got enough Marines for this. If this was more Marine heavy, I'd feel very good for GuMiho.
Yeah, there's no storms anymore. There's only a handful of Stalkers. I mean, this is an army that could theoretically win if everything was perfect, but it's not. Got some useless Marauders in there. Recall just goes down. Yeah, that's probably the best move you can make. Multiple scans. I guess he still has a lot of energy with commands. Like, GuMiho still has 4 orbitals, so he's got a recovery process here. Just take a while.
No, he doesn't, because the thing is it takes too long to build production up, and by the time he finally gets his barracks up, the carriers are on him again. So his best bet really is to get in here while he can. But these interceptors, they're gonna get picked off by the Thors if they come in little bits like this, and Stats can't actually keep producing interceptors forever.
No, he cannot. Good thing he has 4 orbitals. The Mothership comes in. He does still have 2 factories, and he's producing off of it. That's some decent production. So if he can just get mules mining, it'd be pretty good. A couple of Archons coming in here.
Oh, what's going to happen here? Scans go down, but I don't think this is working. He's not killing the interceptors fast enough. A lot of the carriers are out of juice, but the Stalker's going to win this from the ground. Mothership damage is pretty good, too. What a sick finish, but I think Stats has got it.
Yeah, he's got it by leaps and bounds. GG. Oh.
Oh boy, Stats ends up taking it, so we're not gonna have that super sick TvT, but we might at the end of the group depending how things go.